Well, Saxophone Academy, it's almost June and quarantines are ending. But all my gigs and concerts have been canceled, so I've had time to clean up my case and organize my accessories several times. And it got me thinking, what are the must-have accessories you should keep in your case at all times? Hi, and welcome to the Saxophone Academy. I'm Dr. Wally Wallace, and if you're interested in saxophone masterclasses and product reviews, please do subscribe. We've got some cool topics coming up this summer. Now, today we're talking about accessories that I think you should keep in your saxophone case, and I've narrowed it down to my 3 favorite accessories that I keep in my case at all times. Now, interestingly enough, I use a BAM slimline case, which is very narrow, doesn't hold much, so I can only hold 3 things, and these are going to be my 3 favorite accessories that I keep on me at all time. Now, over the years, I've been guilty about buying unnecessary saxophone gear. I've got shelves and drawers lined with stuff that's just not necessary. Some of it is overpriced, some of it doesn't work terribly well, and some of it is just dumb, like those little fuzzy pad saver shove-it thingies that look like a flayed Muppet. But today, I want to talk about 3 accessories that I love, work well, and are all under $25. Now, the criteria I'm using are, number 1, function. Does it serve a purpose that is necessary, and does this accessory do it well? Number 2, value. Is it affordable and well priced? And all 3 that we're talking about today are $25 or less. And 3 is aesthetics and design. Does it work well and eloquently, and does it look cool? Because the saxophone is a cool looking instrument. I don't like to have ugly looking things in my case. So I've come up with 3 things that I always keep in my case that I've used for years and years and years that I think you should give a try. So let's talk about Wally's 3 must-have accessories. Number 1, the classic Seiko Quartz metronome. Now, I always tell my students, if the metronome's not clicking, you're not really practicing. You're just playing, which can be fun, but if you're shooting for mastery, metronome is an invaluable tool, and I love this little guy. Now, I have mentioned how small my case is, and you may wonder why not use a smaller metronome. Well, as for size per volume, I think this is a perfect match. They make smaller little credit card shaped ones that are smaller, but they make a little beeping noise, and I just haven't found it to be loud enough. And being saxophonists, our instrument is quite powerful, it is very loud, and we do require a loud metronome, especially if you're using your jazz mouthpiece or you're in a non-optimal practice environment. This has a very satisfying, loud, woody talk to it. I just really like it. And in any environment, no matter what mouthpiece I'm using, I can hear it clearly while I'm practicing. I mean, not with a whole rhythm section, obviously, but it really does get the job done, and yet it's small enough, it fits inside my case. And the design, I love that it's simple. It's got nothing more than you need. It's got the bare bones minimum, which when I'm trying to focus on my practice session, I really like that. It's got an on-off switch. You can also just turn on the light, which I don't really ever use. But more importantly, it's so easy to change the tempo. There's this little dial that just spins, it's effortless, and it's got a great tactile feel, super easy to click up the tempo while you're practicing or go back down when you crash and burn. It's a really satisfying, easy to use thing, and it's just a simple design that lets you focus on your playing. Now, I have owned more complex metronomes in the past, like this Dr. Beat 60, the DB60, and I've also owned the giant ones that are shaped like a toaster. They have tons of functions and subdivisions and tuning notes and lots of other options that I just never use, and I haven't found them to be necessary for myself or my students. I don't want my metronome to subdivide for me. I want my students to be subdividing for themselves in almost all cases. So I just don't think this is necessary. The other ones are great too, the giant Dr. Beats. They just don't fit in your case. This little guy can fit in almost any saxophone case. My case is tiny, still fits. It goes with me everywhere, which I love. Another thing I love about this metronome is it is built like a tank. It's not beautiful. Aesthetically, it's fine. It's not offensive, but it is built like a tank. It's plastic, but it just seems to last forever. I've had this metronome for well over a decade, and I cannot tell you how many times I've dropped it off the stand, I've knocked it off a piano. Every time it hits the ground, splits open, and the battery spills out, and it looks like it's dead and its guts are hanging out. It just keeps working. You pop the battery back in place, pop the back on, and no matter how many times I've dropped it, it just keeps on working. This is one of the more durable things I've owned in my life. It's been great. And I've had friends with Seiko metronomes as well, had similar experiences. Like the wrist watches that Seiko makes, they're just built to last. It's a really good quality, especially for the price point. As for value, you can get these for $25 on Amazon right now. Now, this is an older model, and I don't see this one listed anywhere online, but they have the same thing basically now with red accents. It looks slightly different, same metronome. Only the red accents, I think they look kind of cool. Kind of makes it look like a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica. Should be roughly the same shape and size and should fit in most any case. They're small, they're loud, they're durable, they work great, and really, I don't think you should go anywhere without packing a little portable metronome. You never know when you're gonna have 5 minutes backstage, or I'm giving a masterclass or a clinic and I get there early and I can find a room to practice. And again, if it's not clicking, you're not getting the most out of your practice. You really need to have one of these at all times. Now, I know what you're wondering. Why not just use a phone? There's plenty of metronome apps for the phone. Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't like the distraction. This is not going to get text messages. This is not going to get Facebook messages, updates, notifications, badges, icons, alarms. Well, you should set an alarm if you have somewhere to be. But this is not going to distract you while you're practicing. I made a video about practicing with focus. I'll put a link below. I really don't want digital distractions when I'm practicing. I want my saxophone, my music, and that's it. I find it really hard to get my students, when they're using their phone app, to ignore incoming messages and notifications. You can put it in airplane mode, but really, I just think this is a better option. Also, if I'm traveling during the day and I'm giving a master class and traveling to go teach or maybe doing a concert, I don't want to wear down my phone battery using the metronome app. And some of the apps do eat a good amount of battery life. So I just think this is a better option. And occasionally when I do use my phone for music, I use it for tuning drones, which we'll talk about in another video. And then I do want to keep my tuning drums separate from my metronome for a variety of reasons. I really don't think you can go wrong with this guy. I just love this little Seiko Quartz metronome. Number 2, the Protec reed case. So you need a good solution for protecting and organizing your reeds, and I think this Protec reed case is really the best option that I've found, especially for the price. It's a really great value. Now, one of the reasons I love this is it does hold 10 reeds, and that's important for me. As an alto player, when I buy a box of reeds, they come with 10, and this holds 10. So when I break in a box of reeds, I do all 10 at a time, and I want to have something that will hold 10 reeds at a time. I've owned other little Van Doren cases, which are fine and I like. They hold 4. So even if I have 2 of these, I'm only holding 8 reeds. And then you got 2 lonely reeds sitting in the box at home. And I'll put a link to my reed conditioning video down below. But if you're conditioning your reeds well, sometimes I will get 10 usable reeds out of a box. I'm not saying 10 reeds ready for a recording session, but I can often play 10 reeds out of the box and at least practice on them. So I need a reed case that holds 10 reeds. As far as function, it's really easy to use. It's got a little push button right here, and it opens. That's not surprising. I mean, it should open and close. But it is easy to open, get to all of your reeds, which is nice. They don't move around or jiggle or fall out like some of the just flatbed glass case ones. They're easy to pull in, easy to pull out, with protecting the tip, which is important. And overall, the design is nothing fancy. It just works, and I like it. And it is durable. I've had several Protec reed cases over the years. This is an ancient one. If you can get a look at the dings and scuffs and scratches and marks on this one, I've had this one for years and years and years and years. It's not pretty anymore, but it still works. Now, I actually like this one slightly better because you can see the Roman numerals more clearly. This one actually has Arabic numerals, which are a little bit difficult to see, but you can still note which number your reeds are. So you can make sure you're not using the same reed to death, and it aids in rotating your reeds, which I recommend rotating a reed every hour. Never play on a reed for longer than an hour if you don't have to. Then all your reeds will last longer and also keep your embouchure conditioned. Now, as for size, it's slim. It's a little bit wide compared to some reed cases like the Van Doren, but I find this fits in my Protec case, and once again, my case is small. It fits just perfectly in the pocket. It's snug, but it does fit. I think you're going to find this fits in most saxophone cases. Built like a tank, cheap, affordable, sturdy. Now, I know what you're wondering. Why not have one of the fancy reed cases that have the little humid packs inside, or the Van Doren Hygro case, which is like a cigar humidor that keep your reeds at a constant temperature. Well, as I've mentioned in a previous video, I really prefer my reeds to dry out when I'm not playing them. I've experimented with different methods of hydration using the D'Addario moisture packs. I've used the Van Doren system. I've used a rock salt and water and pantyhose thing that my professor taught me a million years ago. In my experimentation, I find my reeds last longer and have more color and better response when I let them dry out between sessions. Yes, they warp a little bit as they dry. That's the nature of organic material when it dries, but once you soak it, it goes right back to normal. I have not found that a problem, and after decades of experimenting, I prefer my reeds to dry out. A lot of pro players I know do prefer the same, though some really great players like to keep their reeds moist, whatever floats your boat. This works really well, lets my reeds dry out, protects it. It's about 16 bucks on Amazon. I've owned lots of these, some for my classical reeds, some for my jazz reeds, some for tenor. I just think these are great little reed cases. Highly recommend them. And number 3, key leaves, key props. Now, for the third accessory, I have to start with a confession. I rarely swab my instrument. Now, before you judge me, let me explain. Throughout the day, I teach lessons. I might do a master class. Used to before the pandemic. I will travel. I will be doing demonstration videos. I'll be practicing. And I usually have to run from one thing to the next or get stopped in between students. I just don't have time to swab my instrument. And by the time I get around to it at the end of the day, well, evaporation is already taking care of the moisture and there's really no point. But there is an issue. I do get my horn professionally cleaned and overhauled on the regular, so it doesn't get any gross buildup or anything like that. But the pads that stay closed on the saxophone, your G sharp key, E flat to a lesser extent, but also the low C sharp, the ones that stay closed, they get sticky, and sticky keys are terrible, which is why I really love our number 3 accessory here, key leaves, key props. Now, what I love about these is the simplicity of the design. They're shaped like leaves because you leave them in leaves. You get it? It's a good pun. They're a very soft, durable silicone, and they will not hurt the finish of your horn. They will not scratch your horn. I've been using these for well over, almost 2 years now. They just work great. And so the way they work is this. You pop them under your low E flat key and your low C sharp key. Just takes a second, even with me going around a camera tripod here. And what that does is pops these keys open to dry. Now, here's what's critical. When you open this low C sharp key, your G sharp key is open via some kind of lever system, so this stays open now. So these 3 stickiest keys on the saxophone stay open to dry. It has alleviated sticky keys for me, which is a big deal. In the climate where I live, our summers and springs are very humid. Our falls are actually pretty humid. Even some winters are humid where I live. And sticky keys are the bane of my existence, a huge problem for my students. Key leaves have really fixed that. I'm not paid by Key Leaves. I'm an endorsing artist, but I just love the product. Rulon Brown, the owner, is just a very bright guy who's created a very good product. Now, I have some naysayers that say, well, use a piece of cork or fold up some paper. Sure, if you want to fold up dirty paper and stick it in there hoping it's the right thickness, go for it. But these are very squishy, so it just doesn't bend the keys in any way. Now, the band they come on, their function is to hold them together, so you don't have 2 separate props. It's just easy to have them together, so you just dig it out of your case. The green is not my favorite color, aesthetically, but it serves a purpose. In the back of a concert hall, in the darkness, in the dark case, they're easy to find. And my students do think they're neat, and they always want to talk about it, which is great, because they want to talk about something that can get rid of their sticky keys. So I'm a huge fan of key leaves, key props. I own a couple sets. I use them all the time. Occasionally, a couple of months ago, I got distracted when we were practicing at the beginning of the pandemic because I'm watching 2 kids, had to walk away, didn't put these in, and I had a sticky G sharp key for the first time since I could remember. They really do work, they're simple, and they're about 25 bucks, which is not expensive, especially when you consider it's less than a box of reeds. These should last indefinitely. You can even stick them in the dishwasher. They're very durable. Highly recommend key leaves, key props. So please let me know in the comments below, what accessories do you love or you couldn't live without? What do you keep in your case at all times? And maybe more importantly, what have you tried that doesn't work? What do you think has been overpriced, just badly designed, or things that you bought and later really regretted? Let me know in the comments below. We would certainly appreciate a thumbs up if you found any of this useful, and please do stay tuned. We've got some cool topics coming up next week. But until then, go practice.